Good morning, everyone. Shavua Tov. Someone said that if you want to build a ship, don't drum up the men and have them gather wood and give them orders, but rather teach them to yearn for the vast and endless sea. In this week's Torah portion, we have the birth of the first Jewish leader, Moshe Rabbeinu. Now, it's interesting that in Hebrew, the word for leader is manhig. But nowhere in the Torah do you find the word manhig. What you do find is that Moshe Rabbeinu was living in the palace of Paro in Egypt, and it says, "Vayibayam mehemos," in those Vayigdal Moshe. Moshe grew up, and then he went out to see the plight of his brethren. And Rashi says, what does it mean that he grew up? Why is that the introduction to the story of Moshe? And the answer is that there's two definitions of growing up. There's the physical and there's the spiritual definition. The physical definition is when you physically mature and grow. But the spiritual definition of growing up is the very next words. He left the palace to see the plight of his brethren. Moshe Rabbeinu was living a very comfortable life in the palace. He didn't have to sacrifice his life for his fellow Jews. But the sign of maturity and adulthood is that you care about your fellow man. And you can't sit idly while someone else is suffering. And it's interesting that till today, what do we call our great leaders? Gedolim. We don't call him manhigim, we call him gedolim, grown up, big ones, gadol, from this root word here of Moshe Rabbeinu being a gadol. And the explanation is as follows. It says in Pirkei Avot, if I am not for myself, who is for me? But if I'm only for myself, what am I? Meaning, if you only live for yourself, then what are you? The definition of being a grown-up person is that you care about other people. And if you think about it, a baby's born into this world. I'm going to a bris. I have to run right now to go to a bris. So you think about a baby. And at every bris, you know what you wish the baby? Zeha katan gadol yeh. This little one should become big. This is a great blessing. Of course, he's going to grow up. He's going to get big. It means spiritually he should become big. What does it mean to become spiritually big? So when a baby's born, all he thinks about is himself. When a baby wakes up in the middle of the night and he's hungry, he doesn't say, my parents are sleeping, maybe I shouldn't wake them up. He just cries, he wants food, he wants whatever he wants. You get a little older, you realize there are other people in your universe, your family members. Then you get married, your wife, your children. You keep on expanding your definition of I. The broader your definition of I is, the greater and the more grown-up a person you are. So when your wife or your husband calls you with a problem, or your child calls you, or your grandchild, you act immediately. But what about when it's a stranger? And that's what it says about Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu sees a Jew being beaten by an Egyptian, and it says, "V'yar ki ein ish." He saw no one else cared. Nobody was doing anything. So when no one else cares, you could either say, no one else cares, why should I care? Or you could say, if no one else cares, I have to act. And Moshe Rabbeinu, when he sees no one else is acting, he's willing to sacrifice his life to help another person in pain who's in need. And the broader we could expand our definition of I, to care about a bigger pool of people, the more mature, the more greatness we have within ourselves. The Lubavitcher Rebbe in his 80s and early 90s would stand on Sundays, like a day like today. He would daven Shachris, and following his morning service, he would go out to the lobby of the shul of 770, and thousands of people would line up around the block to get a blessing, and to get a little encouragement, a little inspiration, and share with the Rebbe something that they needed a blessing for. Now imagine, 85, 86, 87, early 90s, to give up your whole day, but not just give it, to stand on your feet. He would never stop for a break, not for water, not for anything, and listen to thousands of people's requests for blessings for whatever they need in their life. And people brought heavy problems to the Rebbe. And that in itself was remarkable. There was once a woman who came to the Rebbe, and she told the Rebbe her problem. The Rebbe gave her a blessing, and then she repeated herself a second time. She wanted a double reassurance, and the Rebbe gave her a second blessing. But a third time, the Rebbe's Gabbai, Rabbi Label Groner, was a little upset at this woman. She's taking up the Rebbe's time. The Rebbe gave her 3 blessings. She keeps on repeating herself. So he sort of told her, move on. There's thousands of people waiting online. You can't hold up the line. You can't hold up the Rebbe's time. The Rebbe's a human being. He's giving up his whole day. Don't repeat yourself. The Rebbe looked at Rabbi Groner. Rabbi Groner said later when they finished the day, the Rebbe would start 10, 11 in the morning, finish 4, 5, 6 o'clock. And they'd give out dollars and
to give to charity, because the Rebbe said when two Jews meet, something positive has to emerge for a third Jew. So if I'm going to meet you, here's $1 to give to a poor person. When they came back into the Rebbe's office after the long day of giving out blessings and dollars, Rabbi Groner says the Rebbe said to him, what happened with that woman that you gave her like a sharp remark to move on? So Rabbi Groner defended himself. He said, look, she repeated herself 3 or 4 times. I felt she was holding up the Rebbe's time. The Rebbe looked at Rabbi Groner and says, when a Jew comes to me with a problem, they have stones on their heart. They're carrying a heavy weight, a heavy burden. Somebody's sick, somebody can't find a shidduch, someone doesn't have a livelihood. They're coming with a heavy burdened heart. Every time they tell me their problem, they get a blessing. They nemenar up a stain from the hearts, and they're taking another stone off their heart. So the Rebbe said, "Vas art is there as a yidin and nemtar up a stain from the hearts." And why would you stop a woman from taking off another stone from her heart? If you feel the pain of your fellow Jew, then you are a gadol, you're a great leader. And to be a great leader, you don't have to go learn the skills of leadership. All you have to do is have a caring heart. If you care enough, you'll find a way to help other people. If you have that care and that love, and you yearn to help other people, like Moshe Rabbeinu, then naturally your leadership skills and your greatness will emerge.